Doesn't have a home or people to care for. Not afraid of anything. Men least of all. He's fast and strong like a big wind. He can hear 100 miles and see 100 miles underwater. He can hide in the shadow of a noon sun. He can be right behind you and you won't even know it till you're dead.
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Welcome to the Mad Max Minute Presents Waterworld H2O Minutes at a Time. I'm Rick.
And I'm Julia.
And today we're talking about minutes 143 and 144, which begin with Enola calling Nord an alcoholic and end with a recreation of the opening scene from The Lion King. Our special guests today, and there are a bunch of them, begin with Jonathan from Minute Impossible.
Hey everybody, happy Monkey Day.
Rob from A Free Podcast.
Hey, I'm ready to get wet in this world.
And George from Elementary, My Dears.
Hi there, I am basically a wet monkey.
And on time this week. I'm so excited.
You know what? First times are everything.
That is the first and last time I'm going to mention that gaffe from an earlier episode. If listeners don't remember what happened, that's fine.
They don't remember me being on that episode because I was probably only on it for about 10 minutes.
But it is great to have the Woodyard here. What are your histories with the movie Waterworld?
I saw it once.
I saw the set. I went to Hawaii
Oh,
as a teen, and it was out there, and everybody was like, yeah, they're working on some dumb movie for the past 4 years. And there was it was the Enola. It was the whatever it's
was this
called.
the first one or the second one that had to rebuild after it got sunk by a hurricane?
Oh, it's the second one because I know the hurricane had already come through at that point.
Gotcha, okay.
I saw it when it came out, and then I watched it again in preparation for this, but also on my other show, on a free podcast, we did a season on when movies attack, and so we did a whole episode on Waterworld because, as I'm sure you've talked about, there were some issues in the production of this movie.
Couple.
A few, yeah.
Some near-death experiences for all of the major cast. A lot of production things. You know, things like that.
Just things that happen on a movie set.
Yeah.
What's a near-death experience with the Bens among friends?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Like, oh, you almost died from nitrogen bubbles in your system? Cool. High five, bro.
It happens to everybody.
When you can open your hand again.
Exactly. We kick off this week's episode with Enola in the bridge house or whatever the top of this structure is called. She's sitting there talking to the Nord. She saw him pouring himself an alcoholic drink and then filling it with water to hide the amount of alcohol he's taken. And she comments that Helen has said that anybody that has a face that red has either had too much sun or too much to drink, really calling to the forefront just how much this man consumes when he's on the Deez.
She said Helen? I thought she said my mom. And let me tell you what. Because I was early to this call, I just sat here on my phone playing a pop game and listening to the minute on repeat for, I don't know, about 15 minutes. Just on repeat. She said my mom every single time.
Has anybody called her Dirty Tinkerbell yet? She looks like Dirty Tinkerbell. There,
Like Julia Roberts Tinkerbell?
Yeah,
With the weird short hair?
from Hook.
Yeah.
Well, I can honestly say I've never done that before.
No, that's never occurred to me. I try not to think about Enola.
She's the principal character.
Are we sure that Waterworld and Hook aren't in the same cinematic universe?
They both love boats.
Yeah.
Well, Hook would obviously be a prequel to Waterworld.
Is he drinking gasoline? Do you think
Guzzling.
it's some sort of? Do you think it's some sort of? Do you think they actually can make alcohol? Like I mean, sure, anyone can make alcohol, but I'm saying, do you think it's more? They seem to be big on petro and things like that. Do you think
They got
use
boxes of alcohol.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
you can see the vodka and stuff in the background here.
That's wine.
All
It's
over
box
the
wine.
ship. If there's two things that the Deez has in an abundance, it's Smeat and I think it's Death's Head vodka or something.
What's
to that
meat?
effect.
Is that sea meat?
No, it's
It's like your
spam.
spam.
It's spam.
Yeah, it's like fish. Fish is
Yeah.
meat. Sea meat.
Sea meat.
It's legally
on.
distinct enough
They
from
missed.
spam.
They missed a total branding opportunity with that.
Forget Chicken of the Sea.
Smeet your maker.
You can't beat this, Smeet.
It is wild. I mean, is it just because alcohol can last so long and doesn't go bad? Why that's what they have so much of?
Whereas cigarettes can go bad in a second, yet they have thousands of those too.
Everyone is smoking.
Well, okay. So here's my question on this movie.
In a world of water, a water of worlds, they have dry tobacco and dry paper everywhere.
Is this movie a shot against big tobacco? Because the only people that smoke are the bad guys who are literally called smokers.
Yeah. This is a post-apocalyptic sequel to Thank You for Not Smoking.
I'm just asking questions here. Is big tobacco behind the bad press this movie got before it came out? Because I knew the bad guys were called smokers, and all they did was smoke.
No, I think it was a bad press because it's a 4-hour Kevin Costner vanity piece.
In which Kevin Costner dials it up to a 4 the whole movie.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Guys, we don't need to talk about The Postman right now.
I do remember reading somewhere that there was an argument between him and the first director about how the first director thought he should be more stoic, and Kevin Costner thought he should be more swashbuckly. And apparently, Kevin Costner won, so this is Kevin Costner being swashbuckly.
I will not deal with Costner slander.
As Enola, as Dirty Tinkerbell is talking about him like all the things that, the Mariner is, like all these things that she's talking about as it begins, and he's coming up that rope. I laughed out loud because I was like, he could literally just be winched to that thing. Like someone just tied a rope to him. He's about as energetic as going up that rope. It's like low key superhero.
He's like a lump of Smeet.
He's a Smeetman.
You guys mentioned earlier that this could be like same universe as Hook. Aren't these guys just Lost Boys all grown up?
Yes.
They certainly behave that way.
Yeah.
That's why they're so mad to see Tinkerbell again.
Yeah, because you have that one moment where she comes in and goes like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "We're just talking about his friend." And he goes, "Yeah." I was like, do you think that was a good actor choice? Like after with the fact, he's like, "Oh, I just responded to a 9-year-old girl with, yeah."
Yes, that was the right choice.
That was the response. I feel like he may have questioned that later.
Well, and then later in the movie when they have the baseball game and they get the sign mixed up that says "Run Home, Jack."
Oh God.
Do you think Enola could be a descendant of Tinkerbell?
Yeah.
Speaking of other bloated movies that had way too big of budgets, both of those movies just bonkers they got made. Some of you people like Hook, right? Some of you youngers?
I mean,
Yeah, we covered Hook on Patreon.
yeah, we did a whole series on it.
I find Waterworld way more entertaining than Hook.
I agree.
I
Yeah.
agree
Hook
as
is not
well.
only bad, it's boring.
It's not a swing is the other problem with Hook. Like we talked about this once before with like, give me Robert Altman's Popeye if you want to see someone just do something silly. I don't want Hook. Go out there, do some cocaine and make a movie on an island.
Get a coked out Robin Williams and just cut loose.
Waterworld needed about 4 tons of cocaine to really get this movie
Well,
going.
you can't because it's all wet because it's in the tropic zones and that doesn't exist anymore.
Also, I'm going to defend Kevin Costner. Kevin Costner is not the problem with this movie.
But is he also not the problem?
I was about to say, he may not be the problem, but he's also not the solution.
He's drinking his own piss. He's not the good part of this movie. From the minute I meet him, I'm like, God, I hate him already.
I'm a Costner apologist.
Apparently.
I like most of his movies. Now that I think
He's
about
in
it,
more good movies than most actors, period. He's been the star of more good movies than most lead actors.
most of them have to do with
career.
baseball, but yeah,
Except for in the 90s.
Yeah, you're right. Most of them are in the 80s, although I will like ride or die with A Perfect World.
That was a good one. But that was
I will
like,
ride or die with that movie to life. But I think in general,
a lot of
like,
street
if you
saying there,
look-
Rob. You okay?
if you look at Costner's career, which, we've hit the
We do-
peak here. And
we do look
it
at his career all the time, right?
falls off the ledge. But I mean, Untouchables, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, Dance with Wolves, JFK, A Perfect World. He's a star. I mean, he's the lead in all those movies.
he was interesting in those movies.
Well,
He's at a 6 or 7 in Untouchables. That's
That's the problem. He is really good in all those movies, but then he comes to this and he thinks, I'm not good, I'm Kevin Costner, and that's what shoots him in the foot.
I won Best Cinematography for Dances with Wolves.
I believe the former director said he needs to direct all of his own movies so he can work with his favorite actor and favorite director every time.
to go back to Julia's point earlier, Enola's a bigger problem in this movie than Kevin Costner. Like, the existence of her character is a bigger problem than Kevin Costner in Waterworld.
She's a map with Bratitude.
She's a skin map.
Yeah, she's a map. This could have been done with a flap of burlap.
They could have skinned her in the first scene and I would have been happy.
Yeah,
Like, I would have been fine.
literally could be replaced with a piece of paper.
Why isn't her name McNally?
And the movie would be better for it.
Yes.
The ridiculous thing is that there is a piece of paper in this movie with a copy of that tattoo.
We don't even need her.
Gregor holds onto it for the entire movie.
Oh, yeah.
That scrap of paper could replace an entire actor.
It should have been a great scene, kind of maybe a third away in the movie, where they look at the map on the paper and then they look at her back and like, it matches. And like, for confirmation. And they just get like a foot booting her off the side of the boat. And it's like, all right, move
That'd
forward.
be excellent. Anytime before this scene would have been great. Where she is getting all of this crap that she is saying about him, straight out of her own ass.
She's a prophet. Tiss.
The scene, these 2 minutes are like essentially a movie trailer, right?
this
Like
is-
it plays out like that, where it's like someone being, describing someone, but like in the middle of the
knows
movie.
no fear. He eats fish for dinner. He can breathe underwater. He's silent as the darkness. It's like
He knows what his own pee tastes like.
If she's a prophet, is this what Jesus was like at the end?
Yeah.
No
yeah,
wonder.
Same
Really
haircut and
annoying?
everything.
No wonder.
Yeah.
I mean, you're drinking a lot. You sure are drinking a lot. Jesus Christ. We have
Literally.
got to get rid of this guy. We have got to get rid of this guy.
Do we have any wood laying around?
Hey, Judas, have you had too much sun?
Judas is like, just say I drink one more time. I swear to God.
I will
swear to
sell
your
you out to
dad.
the Romans.
I swear to your dad.
Okay, so have you guys ever heard of this whole, like, if you drink too much alcohol, your face is going to turn red? Because I think I
Yes.
remember seeing
Yeah.
it in Looney
Oh,
Tunes
for sure.
cartoons.
See it? I see it
Yeah,
every
the
day in
whole
the mirror.
red nose thing.
Well, that's because capillaries will start to break in your nose, and you'll get that's what the term gin blossoms comes from. That's what those are.
Mm.
It's like W.C.
I didn't know
Fields had
I
that.
didn't know that either.
I
But
But
did.
actually, the red face stereotype is it is a stereotype because it comes from a lot of Asian cultures. They have a
Yep.
sensitivity or even an allergy to alcohol, and so their faces get red and they get like a runny nose and stuff when they drink too much. So when you see non-Asian races who are having red faces, it's usually sort of a odd form of cultural appropriation.
Well, I mean, it doesn't generally happen to me. It happened to me one time, and I had a friend of mine who I hadn't seen for years was in town, and I had made a bunch of sangria. It was on a Monday night.
That's why your
And
face was
me.
red, because you spilled it.
Well, so I made
On
all the
your face.
sangria, and I drank all the sangria with my bud, and I woke up the next morning on Tuesday, ready to go to work, and my wife saw my face like in bed, and she's like, "What is wrong with your face?" And I was like, "What?" And
You
she's like,
married
"You
me.
need."
It's not my
Yeah.
fault. This is
She's like,
how
"You
it
need to
is.
look
We're
at
going to
your
talk about this again right now?
Every morning she
Jeez.
says this to me. And I go in the mirror and like my whole face I must have had an allergic reaction to something in the sangria. My entire face was red and like puffy and almost purple. And I was like, I literally can't go to work. There's no way someone wouldn't be like, what is wrong with your face? And my answer can't be, I stayed up all night drinking sangria.
And you're like, what was it in there? Wasn't it gluten?
I have no idea. It's
I've
never
seen
happened.
it happen to people's ankles. I've been to like 2 to 3 day drink fest with my friends out, camping and stuff. And one of my friends drank so much that his salt content was so high, his ankles started to swell up from.
Oh,
Yeah, he has the diabetes.
is
Yeah.
your friend the guy from Mad Max Fury Road, the big dude? Like,
Yes.
what is going on?
And we hang
Jonathan,
out with the bullet maker
Jonathan.
or whatever his name
The
is.
people eater.
People
Jonathan.
eater.
Jonathan, why are you staring at everybody's ankles?
I loved him ankles. You know that.
Really?
I did
Man.
a little bit of research about this red face phenomena, and according to healthline.com, it happens because you have trouble digesting alcohol completely. People who flush when they drink might have a faulty version of and I'm going to preface this by saying, bear with me because this is a technical phrase, aldehyde dehydrogenase 2. The ALDH2 gene is an enzyme in your body that helps break down a substance in alcohol called acetaldehyde. So too much acetaldehyde may cause a red face and other symptoms. And apparently there are two groups of people on this earth that are more susceptible to have this ALDH2 deficiency. And that is people of Japanese, Chinese, and Korean descent, and people who are Jewish.
Huh.
There is a common phrase
Glad I converted.
that is probably used by a lot of racist people that say when your face turns red that you have been afflicted with the Asian flush or the Asian glow, which is just so casually racist, and it does not surprise me at all.
I've never even heard that, so I guess you're just casually racist.
I had heard it, and I didn't even want to say it because I was like, that's just a racist thing, and I'm not mentioning it on the podcast.
Rick is willing to take those risks
Yeah.
for our
I guess
listeners.
so.
I'm willing to point out for our listeners, if you've heard this before, it's racist.
Yeah, you should tell the person.
Why isn't it the Jewish glow?
Can we not talk about the Jewish glow on Monkey Day of all days?
I want to go back to Enola, if that's all right. Can I do that?
Ask Julia.
What? Yeah.
No. Go for it.
This movie's PG-13.
Right.
And she's not even 13.
Normally, the reason you would put a child into a movie is because, in my mind at least, is you want viewers to be around that age and have like a character that they can kind of insert themselves into, that they're part of the story.
Please.
This is not a movie for
Phrasing, Rob.
13-year-olds.
Yeah, it's not
Phrasing.
great. Not great.
Okay. This movie is
Take
not
that
for
back.
13-year-olds. And there's nothing about Enola that I can imagine showing a young girl and being like, you should learn a thing or two from Enola. Like there's nothing about her.
How to do your hair.
My point is, why is she in this movie?
Your point is that most 10-year-old girls are not dirty raft prophets.
Yeah, why were they like, hey, you know what's a cool movie? Those Mad Max movies are pretty fun. And we're like, yeah, I agree. Let's do it on water. Cool. Hey, one more thing. Let's put a kid in it.
What was the best part of Road Warrior? That little kid with a boomerang. Let's give him one with no boomerang.
Yeah, because he had no lines. He didn't talk.
Yeah.
He just growled.
I mean, clearly the boomerang is the missing element here.
Yeah, the murder boomerang.
In water, though, that's more of a stick. You have to be really good with a boomerang for it to come back to you. Because there's no room for error in water.
Or you just have a lot of them.
Or they float.
With all this Enola talk, I want to dive quickly into the book.
Man, that is a very well-marked novelization.
I like that you said dive.
In the novelization, the dialogue between Enola and the Nord is a little different.
Is he the Nord?
I call him Nord. He's also described as the Nord.
Avord the Nord?
He hosted Weekend Update on Waterworld.
Right.
I think that was when it was a really low point for Weekend Update. Although I enjoyed his humor.
Yeah, me too. I liked the old Nord McDonald's.
Yep, those are the best.
You know what? I just ignored him.
Jeez.
You avoided the Nord?
I avoid the Nord.
Avoid the Nord. Yep. As the book says, it was enough to drive the sanest man as mad as a sun-baked, thirst-crazed berserker. Your face is all red, the kid was saying. Her eyes were huge, looking up at him accusingly from where she cowered by the chair on the floor. Helen says that anyone with a face that red has had too much sun, or too much happy juice. I don't give a shit what Helen says. Well, I don't think you've had too much sun. That's it. He slammed the gin bottle down on the liquor cabinet counter and started toward her. I'm gonna rip your little... The cabin door opened, and the doc stepped in, trailing his wheeled cart of gas goodies. This halted the Nord. Almost time, the doc said. Something wrong? No, the Nord said. We were just talking about her friend. The fishman? Actually, the Nord said, about the woman. Says her name is Helen. Wouldn't mind an afternoon with her.
Okay, ew. I love that this whole voiceover thing that she's doing in this clip is not there in the novelization. Guys, the novelization is so much better than the movie.
Oh, it's in there. We just haven't.
Did they just not imply at the end that someone wanted to have sex with a child?
No, with Helen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. It's like, wait, that's better?
Earlier in the movie, we do see Enola have to like get sent down into the cabin of the boat so she can give herself up to Costner and his gills.
Yes.
Gross.
Which, perfect. Hey, kid, come on over to the television set. We got a new box office movie to watch, The Waterworld. You can learn some valuable lessons.
This scene is the Smeet cute.
Oh my god.
I take umbrage with them using the term happy juice.
Yeah.
Because, no, that's stupid.
Also, why would a kid call it? It can't tell how old Enola is by the way she talks sometimes. Like, sometimes she seems like this waif that they've kept kind of away from everyone else, and she's just smarter than everybody else. She's kind of like, did you ever see Clan of the Cave Bear?
Yes.
She's the Daryl Hannah. She's the non-Cro-Magnon. She is.
Oh, she's not the Ringo Starr of this movie?
No, that's Caveman. That's the movie Caveman. Don't get that confused with.
But here's the thing. If you could just pick one or the other, why would you want to watch both?
Caveman's a good movie. They're wearing the same clothes they wear in this movie. It's just rags.
Bear pelts.
Bear pelts.
Even though before bears existed.
Oh, that's sad. Are there no bears anymore?
No. Maybe this is me, but there's all these paintings, and I don't know if Rick and Julie, you guys have gone into like what these paintings are. I did a cursory look.
Oh, you mean the young Joseph Stalin behind her?
And found nothing. Yeah, it looks like Leonardo DiCaprio behind her.
Is he pointing?
Is that just me?
Is he pointing?
That's literally just you.
That's you. Yeah, he looks like young Joseph Stalin.
Yeah, I agree
Or maybe
with
Nikola
George.
Tesla.
Oh, okay. I see the Tesla thing.
But it's
It
got
looks-
like a
I
longer
see
mustache.
Stalin, yeah.
Or maybe
It
Nicolas
looks like
Cage.
DiCaprio with a mustache.
Okay.
Do we know what those paintings are? Obviously, they're supposed to be wink, wink, famous paintings.
Oh no, I googled Waterworld paintings and everything, and I only got just a metric assload of fan art. That was just so much time.
I went through the
put
same
into
process, George, and I was like, mm-mm.
It is.
No, thank you.
Listen,
I had to go to
just Google,
DeviantArt and find all this slash fiction with the Mariner and a bunch of other people.
It is a treasure trove of wasted time. Just go look it up. Waterworld paintings. Waterworld movie paintings, by the way. Put that in there.
That is a Marianas Trench of nope.
All right, well.
I have to ask, the doctor stumbling in and stopping Nord from burning Enola's face with a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
Is that good, or is it just like, ugh?
Good.
It's more another shot against big tobacco.
Yeah.
Okay.
With
yeah.
the doctor coming in and stopping some of the harm that smoking causes.
Yes, because he is a trusted medical professional.
He's almost the Surgeon General of that ship.
Ironically, the doctor is the one on oxygen.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's the surgeon something.
He's definitely not the surgeon specific.
He's warning against birth defects, like cigarette burns and, things like that.
Birth defects.
And being born with weird tattoos on your back.
I mean, one guy does have gills. That's a birth defect.
Or is it an evolutionary trait?
Again, this movie's stupid because why would just some people, I would think everyone in Waterworld would be like, holy shit, I got gills. I'm so
but here's the
stoked
thing,
for having
Jonathan.
gills.
I don't know if you've ever heard of this little thing called evolution. It takes a while.
It's one of the preeminent things we celebrate on Monkey Day. So yes, I have heard of evolution.
Also, I'm going to defend this movie again here. I don't think this movie's going out of the way by saying people react in an inappropriate way to things that are different.
Oh yeah, we're still racist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nail on the head.
Damn air breathers.
Just saying, there's always got to be a first one, Jonathan. I wonder, though, instead of him drinking his pee, what if he just poured it on his gills?
I don't think that's how gills work.
Is there oxygen exchange in pee?
Is that what drunk like a fish means?
Yeah, you got pee on your gills.
Don't they always have pee on their gills?
Yeah, because fishes pee in
Is it
the ocean.
Is it ocean just
Yeah,
fish pee?
It's just a
Yeah.
fish toilet.
That's why it's good not to think too hard about the movie Aquaman when they have those throne room scenes and everyone's underwater.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
you think they just go wee wee?
Oh, yeah.
God, can you imagine being an
All the way
Aquaman in the
home.
throne room, being like one of these really quiet, solemn ceremonies, and then everyone's just like fish bubbling left and right because they're farting and they can't hide it? Like, bloop.
Or it just gets really warm.
Yeah.
You look over. And...
It's like, oh, there's the current. Oh, trace it back. There's that one who's just smiling.
To be fair, we also don't know that Aquaman has genitalia. We don't know if they don't have
Oh, yeah.
fish
Oh, no,
bits.
he does. He kelp dusts all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kelp dusts.
Jesus.
Just swimming by.
DC has not been brave enough to show full frontal in one of their superhero movies.
Cowards. DC was brave enough, though, to straight up kill Kevin Costner the way he's supposed to die.
Leave Kevin Costner alone, man. I don't understand the Kevin Costner hate.
Listen, Kevin Costner got to a point in production where he's like, you know what? I'm finished. I'm going to stop you there. Let me stand still and then CG a tornado over me and then I can go home. Just recycle my voiceover.
I'm going to continue on my Costner crusades here. Can you think of an actor who has been as big of a star in our lifetimes that has not been a star of a sequel than Kevin Costner?
Al Pacino.
Godfather 2.
I think that's the only sequel he's been in that he's been a star of.
I'm just saying.
Well, does that mean that he's so intolerable that only one group of people can work with him at a time and that he burns a bridge and moves to the next?
I don't know if it's that. I honestly think that is partly why there's so much Costner hate, is because he's not a star of some sequel a franchise we all grew up on that we just love and defend no matter what.
I would defend Untouchables, but it's not a sequel to anything. It's just it's a standalone movie.
He doesn't do franchises because, like you said, he's intolerable.
According to an interview he did, he said that he doesn't want to do sequels because he's yet to be pitched a sequel that was as good as the original.
Which he's not wrong.
99% of the time, he is right.
What if someone came up to him and said, Waterworld 2?
This time on land.
I think he would say no. Well, I also want to like get into like why I don't love Waterworld. I think this is like a 3 out of 5 star movie. It's fine.
You could take it or limp it.
You can watch it. It's entertaining at times. There's some pretty cool sequences.
You just can't help yourself.
Enola's boring. There's issues with this movie, but it's weird to me how much hate this movie has.
Hate for the movie or hate in the movie?
Hate for the movie. Like this movie has been a punchline for 30 years.
I think it's because it was a punchline before it came out. And it became this like Kevin Costner's folly. And then when it came out, everybody was like, it's not that great. So I get the bag on it easily.
Oddly enough, it does set up the world that Titanic comes out in, right? Because Titanic comes out and the same thing. Everything pre-production about Titanic is look at all this money. This is such a big bust. This is so stupid.
It's another Waterworld.
The difference is James Cameron.
Sure.
Versus the dude who did this movie, whose name already escapes me.
Oh, you mean Kevin Reynolds?
Yeah, Kevin Reynolds.
Yeah.
It's weird, and I think it's kind of gone away, but it's weird how obsessed people were for a while to just get so angry about the idea of a film production costing a lot of money. Who cares?
Notice they don't do that anymore, like when both of the Infinity War and Endgame came out.
No.
They're like, it's fine. But also the quality of what you got with that comparatively to what you got from Waterworld. And now we're all like, well, you know what? If you make a great movie, and if you notice there haven't been any giant box office bombs that have used up that $250 million. Have you noticed that's gone away too?
Well, partly because we don't live in a world where anyone would spend money on something that wasn't a franchise. It doesn't exist.
Not anymore,
so
no.
You're only going to spend money on something that you already know. We already have so over many millions of viewers that will watch it. Like, regardless of what it is, they're going to watch the whole thing. We can't lose.
I'm just looking up Kevin Reynolds' career. Since Waterworld, he made 4 movies. Since 1995, he's made 4 movies.
He made the Hatfields and McCoy miniseries.
In 2012.
Yeah.
And then he
with
did
Kevin Costner.
Tristan and Isolde.
Isolde.
Yes, Risen and The Count of Monte Cristo.
I kind of like The Count of Monte Cristo. I saw it in the theater. I was
love
okay.
that movie.
I love a good Monte Cristo.
Oh, yeah.
Me
so
too.
good.
I theater hopped to see that movie. I went and saw Serendipity and then jumped theaters and watched The Count of Monte Cristo.
What a day.
Come at me, Dollar Theater.
Count of Monte Cristo is one of those rare movies that's better than the book.
Mm-hmm. I haven't read the book, but
The book is sad.
yeah.
Nobody gets a happy ending in the book.
Oh.
I just worry that because we live in a world that loves, I feel like I'm doing a trailer. Because like anytime a new IP, people spend money on it, people lose their minds and get upset about it. And then you get like Waterworld, which Waterworld's not a great movie. It's fine. I don't think it's bad. I think there's some good stuff. It's fine. It's a decidedly average box office film. How is it better or worse than Kong vs. Godzilla?
I think in retrospect, it's okay. But I think at the time, I mean, this is the movie that had the name in the press, Fish Tar, before it ever came out.
Yeah.
Or Kevin's
So
Gate.
it was already like this
Which
big,
is another
bloated
movie that gets maligned for very low reasons. Because is it a bomb? Not really. It's relatively funny. It's not that bad. It's a B movie. It's not great.
I would argue people didn't like it because it was directed by a woman.
Probably.
And in the 80s, people lost their minds about that.
Going back to Waterworld, it could also be that there was a lot of talk ahead of the production about how it's going to do all these amazing things. It's almost as if they spoke it up and hyped it up too much, which is appropriate to this clip because that's exactly what Enola is doing through most of it, talking about all of these fantastic properties that the Mariner has that she has never witnessed.
No.
She's just making it up off the top
She's
of her
a
head.
hype man.
Yeah.
Hype fairy.
The Mariner himself, in sort of like how that character is played and how we see him, feels much more, not like this stylistically in any way, but much more like a film noir protagonist than anything else, right? Like he does kind of cool things sometimes, but it's not his, like where this clip is like, look at this superhero, which is like totally out of tone of how.
I feel like it was supposed to be like he was like a shogun. He was like a water shogun going around righting wrongs on his boat, but like just being perfectly good at like hand-to-hand combat and all this stuff. But what we get is this really lackluster angryman from Kevin Costner that I wish he was less angry and a little more stoic.
Yeah.
He's not stoic. He's angry and mean to a child. Well, the child we don't need, but he's mean to her anyway.
Listen, he's right to be angry about that child. Kick her off the boat, Rob.
He's mean, but he's mean to someone that you said that she was brought in to be the foil for younger viewers.
I guess.
And being
that's
mean
what
to
I don't
her
know.
makes him the bad guy. So what are we doing? I want him to be the cool guy. I want him to be the Logan. I want him to be takes no prisoners, has a weird thing that makes him kind of cool, and he can dive underwater, and he's got gross webby feet and hands. I want him to be that guy more, and he's not Fishman as much as he is brooding guy.
Yeah.
But back to the franchise thing, can't you deal with some of Logan's abrasiveness because you have an entire backstory of who Logan is to make it fine? If you knew nothing about Wolverine beforehand and you watched that movie, you'd probably be like, God, that dude's angry.
Well, see, this is the type of character that Mel Gibson was able to so well portray in the Mad Max movies.
Yeah.
That whole stoic, not mean, but also not kind.
Yeah, he's just quiet.
Like, he puts Bruce Spence through hell in Road Warrior. And it seems rather cruel when you go back and think of it. But when you're watching it, you're like, oh, Max, you scamp. Whereas the Mariner, Kevin Costner is just throwing kids into the ocean so that they can drown.
He's not lovable.
Yeah.
Which I know that had to be Julia's favorite scene in the whole movie.
Even reason he gets stuck with them in this movie is because he makes a deal with them, right? I mean, to save his life.
Yeah. She's like, hey, we'll let you out of this cage so you don't die in the poop bog. And he has to think about it for a second. It's like, do I want to live if it means being around other people?
Being around a skin map for 2 hours?
Well, he probably was like, well, this stuff is getting really close to my gills, and I can taste it through my gills, so I've got to get out of here
Like,
now.
I will aspirate faster than anyone else into poop.
That's what's going to be on George's tombstone.
Yep.
I've been thinking about Logan and drawing that comparison, and one of the things that endeared us to him was his relationship with Rogue. And that could have been a similar relationship with Waterworld.
She was a brassy dame, she had like things she wanted to say, and I enjoy that relationship. She's young enough to not know everything, is hurt that, she's different than everybody else because Enola has a skin map. And not to mention they also held down a 9-year-old and drew a tattoo on her. Cool.
I don't know what age they drew that.
It's a birth defect.
Oh, you think it's all stretched now? Think the map's actually out of coordinates are all wrong now?
That's why they can't find dry land.
They put a scale over on the side, and now they're like, oh no, it's all wrong. It says the scale.
What's going to be the worst? The fact that they've been following this entire map, they're going to get there and realize it was a mole.
Yeah, what if she gets back knee when she becomes a teenager?
That's why it's a race against time right now.
Yep. Maybe that's why they cast a younger child instead of somebody a bit older.
You skinned her, you don't have to worry about going through puberty. None of that happens.
Excellent point.
Thank you.
If only Buffalo Bill was around in Waterworld.
Was she a little pixie dirty fairy girl?
It puts the urine on the skin.
or else it gets the gills again. Oh, boy. Also, as you know, I like to ask questions. Why is everyone so dirty on this boat? They live on water.
Everyone's dirty. It's the dirtiest water world I've ever seen.
But the water, you just go jump in the water. It's right there. The whole world is water. People should be cleaner.
I agree.
Salt water's not good for your skin, Rob.
The atoll dwellers, while they are dressed in rags.
We call them atolls.
The atolls.
They're not dirty. They're clean in general.
Because they live in water.
Because, they wash.
But why are the dirty? Well, why are the dirty Valdez people? The Valdesians.
Because they're smokers, and smoking is dirty.
Well, also,
take that big tobacco.
There's also the grease and the smoke of machines and engines and things like that. That's not something that you just wash away under.
That boat doesn't go anywhere. It's on a for being in Waterworld. There sure is a lot of land around. Isn't that Valdez stuck on something?
No.
Is that barnacles?
It's barnacles. Yeah.
I thought it was it. The movie, and when I first saw it, I was like, is it? Because it's the Valdez. So I'm like, that wrecked. So it would have to have hit something.
Speaking of drinking and doing your job, by the way.
Allegedly.
I love also that the guy drank so much that he had enough alcohol on that boat to now take care of all humans forever.
Looks like guess I planned ahead.
What they're inferring is that all this booze was on the Valdez, or was it brought to the Valdez?
It was brought to them. I think it's something that they're finding.
Okay. The same brand everywhere?
Well, maybe they found a giant shipment of it somewhere.
Like Bartles and James was like...
So, there's a big Bartles and James the cargo ship with wine coolers.
Well, Barnacles and James in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's also cruise ships.
Yeah, open bars.
But that's supposing that they, are ever cruise ships again.
Have you talked about that? Like, who would have survived? It would have been the upper echelon of people that took cruise ships.
And old people.
And old people that would have made...
And teenagers who got dragged along because they didn't want to go, but they went anyway.
Octogenarians, swingers.
That's the way the world works. Rick and Julie, do you guys like Waterworld?
I like it when it's good.
Okay, that's fair. I think that's a perfectly reasonable review.
Yeah, when it's good, it's really good, and when it's bad, it's really bad.
Yeah,
and it does both throughout
when it's
the
good,
movie.
it's really good, but when it's bad, it's wetter.
Yes, exactly.
I don't mean this in like a crass way. Like, what is good? Like, what's good? Like, what do you consider?
The atoll stuff. I think the battle at the when they attack the atoll. I think that's.
I mean, that's a stunt show. It's an awesome,
incredible.
Yeah.
The action in this movie is great. When the plot is actually moving forward, I like that. What I don't like is actually it's a lot of the trimaran stuff. I don't like how the Mariner treats them. I think it's really, really crappy and it serves no purpose to the movie. I think it's just like morally reprehensible that this movie behaves this way towards women. So that's really bad. It's also really boring. All the trimaran scenes are really boring.
And that's where he's the meanest.
Until like Jack Black flies in and attacks them. That's cool.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Jack Black is in this movie.
Baby Jack Black.
I always forget.
I like that Jean Triplehorn had like a little couple episode run on New Girl.
Yes, she did.
I like when they're on the boat. I like how it looks when they're on the boat. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, the boat's a great set piece.
Yep.
They just didn't use it well.
But when they talk, you're like, oh no, what's going to happen?
And I think that might be what we're all thinking of. That's when Kevin Costner got to direct himself and was kind of out on the boat with his probably minimal crew and the actual director, the second director.
He was running the camera as well.
Yeah, but the problem is the script.
Right.
As we're saying, it's when their mouths open and the words come out that you're like, oh no, movie. What are you doing? This is either boring or insulting.
I like the Joss Whedon angle of all this, which is probably why we have such strong female characters.
Ugh,
What's the Joss Whedon?
We don't need to talk about Joss Whedon.
Yeah, let's not.
Screw that guy.
Yeah, there are really fun parts of this movie that you have to wade through the poop bog to get to, admittedly. But overall, I feel like there are more fun parts than there are groan-inducing slogfests.
I feel like it's a movie that had to get made so that movies like this would never get made again. It was kind of the end of that, although I say that and then they made 2 Fantastic Four movies, but there was kind of the end of big budget, one guy saying, I'm doing a big budget, other than James Cameron. James Cameron is the only person that's come in and said, I have a completely original idea. I'm going to do Titanic and I'm going to do Avatar.
He's the only one that makes money guaranteed. No one else will give money to these things.
No, and I like that happened because there are, as I've talked about on some other podcasts, the movie system works. Everyone's like, ugh, big corporations own everything and little things don't get made. Sometimes that's okay because sometimes you are going to get movies like on a big budget scale. You'd get these level of movies, and I'd
They're
rather
at least interesting.
What movie? This movie?
Yeah, there's a podcast about. They talk about it 2 minutes at a time because there's so much to talk about.
There are podcasts about crappy movies too, so don't tell me.
It's at least interesting. I disagree entirely with your point, Jonathan.
But you always have. We always disagree on this. You feel that you would rather have an interesting story, almost an original story, than a tried and true. Like, yes, the other movies, the big movies that I like are part of a franchise.
See, and I don't mind elevator pitches, right? So, like, this is Mad Max on the water, right? That's what this is. Mad Max on the water.
Yeah.
Right? That's fine. I don't know why that's the thing that we will be so like when I say we, I mean like, the general viewing public will be so it's just Mad Max on the water. Are you going to go see Spider-Man 8? It's time for the dance at the Winterfest. I don't understand how we can just like criticize like elevator pitches, which are, speed is Die Hard on a bus. But that's fine. That's fine. That sounds fun. I'm in.
It's also not a $400 million movie that didn't.
But who cares?
On that mindset, do you think that this movie could be remade as Waterworld but good and actually be a good movie?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Make it darker. Make it darker. Make it more dystopian.
Don't sail out onto the water to make it.
And who would? Okay, all right, let's play a little game. Like who?
James Cameron.
You cannot use James Cameron. Think of a new director to direct the remake of Waterworld.
Do I have to know the director? Can I talk about actors instead?
Once again, though, I don't want to just because an idea happened and it wasn't good doesn't mean I just want people to keep trying that same idea. I just like the idea of a new idea in general.
You've noted, audience, that Rob is completely dodging the question.
I want to step in here. Jonathan, you spend a lot of time with the Minute Impossible talking about spy stuff, sneaking through places, getting from point A to point B. generally speaking, this clip, most of it, as Enola's spouting off her nonsense, has the Mariner sneaking through this ship in order to get from point A to point B. Would you admit that this at least is an interesting segment?
Yes, because this is the most superhero he's been in the movie. She is saying things that are untrue about him, and he's doing things that are untrue that we've seen so far, other than like him coming up and like doing the ninja move where he kind of seemed like he kind of slid down the ladder and grabbed the guy from the bottom of the ladder. Great move. Okay, yeah. I'm fine with that. I don't mind that kind of thing. If the rest of the movie, he'd been super slick the whole time. We had the stunt show spectacular at the beginning, which is great. And then he's mean dad on the boat for a lot of the movie. And then we get here, and now he's like, oh, I actually do care about Dirty Tinkerbell, and, you know, I'm going to go save her. Okay, fine. If in the middle he was also a badass, I think I'd be okay with the Mariner's trip through this entire movie. It's just he turns into such an unlikable character in the middle of the movie that it makes me like, okay, and now I'm on his side. He's been mean to her the whole time. Okay, but now I care about him? Okay, fine. I'll try, movie.
I'm glad you brought up him choking out the smoker while he's hanging from that ladder, because they do it a lot better in the book. And I'm going to duck in there again. For context, the Mariner has just killed the smoker and stolen the gun from this guy. The Mariner slipped the pistol into the pocket of the jacket and headed down a dark corridor. Footsteps echoed toward him, proclaiming more company. He looked above him, saw metal rafters, and jumped, hoisting himself up. Right beside his head was another one of those cloth-covered boxes emitting the Deacon's nonsense. Look at us, we are the reason for creation. Below him, at a jog, came a smoker, a furry-faced bruiser whose eyes popped fish-eye open when the Mariner, hanging from the rafters by his legs, dropped in his path and grabbed him in a chokehold. Pulling himself up with his legs, the Mariner also pulled the smoker up and off the floor, a good 2 feet off the floor, the man's legs shaking spasmodically. So he did that one move from the Batman video games where you hang and then you drop down, grab someone, and pick them up.
You think his gross webbed feet can hang onto a bar?
Well, see, the bottom of his boots don't have soles, so he just applies suction where he needs to.
Oh, he licks his own feet. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yep. Nature's suction cup.
My other little thing about this is I do like, this sounds lame, but I like when they're on the water more than when I see him inside in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, like, that's where his strength lies.
Yeah.
He's a sailor.
Have him in the water.
Yeah, so why is he so awesome in this scene? It's not his natural habitat.
Yeah, he should be awkward walking around.
Yeah.
I'd rather him be on land and be like, oh, God, no, everything's still, nothing's moving, oh, God.
Have you guys talked about the horse yet?
Oh, we haven't talked too much about the original Raider script.
Okay.
But that is going to come for everyone to listen to later on in the season.
Okay.
But we have mentioned it a few times.
Okay.
Yeah. The fact that there was a horse and a barge.
This is a horse teaser.
There was a horse that no one ever saw. He just told people he had a horse. That would have been cool for him to ride onto this ship. Then I'd be all in.
Well, then he's just a Mary Sue because he can sail a boat and ride a horse. Come on.
Pick
That's
a
not
lane.
believable. Yeah, exactly.
Pick a lane.
A sea lane. Pick a sea lane.
You're not the equestrian, you're the Mariner.
Everyone knows you can only be good at one thing.
Unless it was a seahorse.
Thank you, George.
Oh, a giant seahorse.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be cooler.
Which is plausible because there was that sideways mouth shark thing.
Yeah, the whale fin.
Mm-hmm.
The whale fin. So a giant seahorse is totally plausible.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want him to literally be Aquaman.
Yeah, that's way too Aquaman. If he's riding it sideways. I mean, that happened in Aquaman.
Yep.
Well, how is he not already Aquaman?
They should bring that up more. They should be like, hey, remember that superhero from when my great-grandfather lived on land and read comic books?
Oh, the fish talker? He could talk to fish.
The fish talker.
In the novelization, even when he's fishing for the whale fin, he makes squeaky noises to attract the whale fin. So
clicks and stuff.
Yeah.
Oldest trick in the book.
He's literally catfishing that.
I also want to say that I do enjoy Dennis Hopper being Dennis Hopper in this movie.
He is so
He's
excellent.
great.
He's a highlight of this movie.
I have one question, though, about his eye patch. Can we talk about, is that hair on his eyebrow?
Why has he got feathers under his eye patch?
Oh, those are stitches.
Yeah, they're stitches.
Okay.
Have you seen Steve Martin in Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? This is just a fork accident. They
Yeah.
forgot to put the cork on the fork when he was eating.
Ruprecht.
Not mother.
You'll get the genital cuff.
George will remember earlier in the movie where they revealed the aftermath of the explosion that took out the Deacon's eye and just how juicy that socket looks.
I'd say more like Smeedy.
I'm amazed they were on a boat and they couldn't find an eye patch. That seems like of every place you could find an eye patch, a boat would have like a locker of those. It just seems like it's a very piratey thing to have.
Keep it in this first aid kit.
That would be a good place to put an eye patch, I guess.
First aid kit, that, a peg leg, and
Yep.
a parrot,
A hook.
a frozen parrot.
Yep.
In case you did it.
It's the trick. You pull out the parrot, you like give it a couple of shakes so that it warms up, and then you just throw it on your shoulder.
And one orange.
One orange.
One orange for the scurvy.
Yep.
For the scurvy lottery.
Yep, the scurvy lottery.
Who doesn't want bloody gums?
Yeah,
take a token?
Have we genetically moved on from scurvy? No one seems to have any problems.
I think they developed the
C.
ability to absorb vitamin C from Jack Daniels.
In just the universe.
Yeah.
Maybe those tattoos are actually vitamin D injections. Just like little ones. There are lots of problems with living on the ocean for long periods of time that humans have. And this movie has none of them. Although they do get a little sunburn.
Well, it's just they're just drunk.
They would have to figure out some way to get around the vitamin C issue.
And skin cancer, I mean, probably a problem.
They're not drinking their own pee. Maybe that's the way you get around it. Who knew that drinking our own pee was actually how we got around scurvy?
You're in for a treat.
Oh, God.
Oh, you can get vitamin C from fish.
Really?
Yes.
Oh.
For
All
fish
right.
pee?
I think the whole thing.
I'm pretty sure fish are called vitamin C, S-E-A.
Yeah, mostly from roe.
Okay.
Huh.
I did not know that.
Now remind me, roe are
Eggs.
unfertilized eggs?
I don't know the distinction, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
eggs.
I like to imagine, though, that part of the way they raised funds on the Exxon Valdez is they would have a lottery. And the lottery would, like, every week the winner would go, like, an orange would go to the winner. People were just like Deacon's up there reading the numbers, like the Powerball.
Like they have one,
Everyone's got
they
their
have
little
one orange tree, and it every once in a while like bears fruit.
And
that
instead of
person-
having pieces of paper, they have to have the numbers tattooed on their arms. Be like, oh, man.
Oh, that's just a callback, man.
it's a little on the nose.
That's why they all have red faces.
They would be
Oh,
lucky
boy.
if it was an orange and not something like a lime or a lemon. Because we
Yeah.
saw the lime tree at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. So limes are absolutely a thing.
That's right. That's the scurvy thing.
Now, have
Yeah.
they yet discovered putting a lime into coconut and you drink them both up?
Well, see, you got to find the coconut. That's the
Yeah,
tricky
good luck.
part.
No.
That's what this movie's about.
Yeah.
Is
But
finding the
coconuts float.
coconut for the lime.
This is a Harry Nilsson song adapted into a motion picture.
Yeah, exactly. That's where it came from.
That's the real
Mhm.
elevator pitch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's a Harry Nilsson song. Just
Lime into coconut.
Have you seen
but
Mad Max? Do you like Harry Nilsson? Just mash them together on water.
Two great tastes that taste great together.
incredible.
The last quarter of this clip is pretty much Dennis Hopper living his best life out there on the bridge platform. Meanwhile, there is a group of smokers down below decks that are hunting the Mariner. The guy in the lead with the big ol' sideburns and the baseball cap, he's the one that's leading this little hunting party, and he is not doing a good job at all.
Funny enough, the Mariners didn't even exist as a baseball team when this movie
Yeah.
came out.
That is funny.
Oh, that's a shame.
is funny.
You made a joke.
The thing about seeing him here, though, is that he is several steps behind the Mariner, whereas in the book, we're dipping in there one last time for this episode, I promise. He actually catches sight of the Mariner and fails to go after him. So this guy's name is Truan, and this is how the section begins. Truan, leading the search for the intruder, spotted a smoker climbing a chain, advancing towards an upper-level walkway. "You there," he called up. "Identify yourself." But the smoker either didn't hear him or ignored him and kept on clambering up the chain. Truan frowned in thought. One of the floating corpses had been minus a vest and goggles. The intruder, who was possibly the fishman, was very likely disguised as one of their own. Moving quickly, Truan rustled up some smokers to check out the chain climber, and gathering ladders heading upstairs, they scurried off to cut the man off. Only now, when Truan looked back up, was there only a dangling chain, empty, taunting him. And I feel a little bad for the guy.
Oh my gosh, he's so stupid.
He's the only one taking initiative.
I'm saying he's taking initiative. He's like pointing things, he's putting things together. I would totally watch an entire show.
Was it going to be True and Detective? Was that the joke?
It's going to be the Truan Show.
The Truan Show, yes, thank you.
The True and Detective is right there.
Yeah, True and Detective.
Eh.
Man.
That was a
What?
good try, George. I appreciate
Listen.
the attempt.
No one else sets me up. I have to set myself up.
You got an F for effort and for fish.
Truman in the movie looks like he just stepped out of a WWF tag team match.
Oh, half the people in this movie look like they're from...
This guy especially. He's even still has the costume on.
Nord is also part of that.
Nord too. Yeah, they're
Nord
they have
definitely
a tag
goes to
team.
Royal Rumble.
They're all part of the WWE, the Waterworld extras.
Only in the WWE do you usually find someone with the type of hair that Nord has. It is a mane, like a lion.
Yes.
Yeah, I just call him Cheap Trick. That's my name for him.
It's got a lot of volume.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is
Turned up to
surprising
11.
on a Waterworld.
Hey, I saw the humidity, man. Just makes it poof right up.
You know, it really should be like matted down with grime and salt.
Mm-hmm.
That just doesn't make any sense.
It's that smoker magic.
In a post-apocalyptic world, why do people have hair at all? Just shave it off.
I say Deacon has the right idea.
They have a lot of petroleum byproducts to make gels.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
Maybe it's guzzling.
Maybe it's guzzling.
Maybe it's fish guts.
Could be.
It's just movie magic. Speaking of movie
Clean hair.
magic, I want to point everybody's attention to the last 5 seconds of this clip when the Nord is holding up Enola, Lion King style, for everyone to see. And I want you to focus on the shipping containers on either side of the Deez and the little figures that have been superimposed, because the scale of those figures is way off.
Oh, you mean how tall they are?
Yeah, if you were to believe that those figures were actually that tall, you would have literal giants towards the back of this
It's their
crowd.
secret weapon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's funky.
They're a bunch of berserker warriors called Deez nuts.
And Rob, you talked a lot about Forrest Gump on another podcast. If you were looking at 1 minute, 56 seconds, in the bottom left corner on that first shipping container, it looks like there's a smoker who's missing his legs.
Oh my God, it's Lieutenant Dan. Yeah, it does look like he's missing his leg.
Lieutenant Dan, I got your post-apocalyptic boat show.
He's just sitting there. That's where he went. That's where he went in Forrest Gump, when he like swam off for a while.
Yep.
Yeah. This is where he went. He fell into a portal,
Someone picked him up.
came back.
Oh, that's incredible. I think you can kind of see his legs dangling there, but that is great. Good catch, Rick.
They tried really hard with this composite shot.
I mean, it works.
Looking at it after the fact and a little too close, you can like pick out the bad parts.
You're right, Rick. But I mean, in the flow of the movie, just a little bit, you see that. It is a pretty good, like, oh man, there's a lot of people on that big boat.
Yeah, there's a heckin' lot of them.
Yeah,
and really,
I'm impressed
you're not
with the number
supposed
of
to be
people.
looking at them.
This movie use any of James Cameron's amazing body double people? Those little, not mocapped people?
The Na'vi?
No. The mocap people that were from Titanic.
Oh.
Remember? I mean, from far away, you see little people walking there. They're not quite great yet, but they're getting there.
I have no idea.
This is all practical effects, right? Mostly, except for the stuff underwater.
They may not have used computer-generated extras, but all of the water that you see around the Deez, that's digitally added.
Oh, really? I thought you were about to tell me it was all real, because that was what the pitch of the movie was. It's all real water. We're not putting in any digital water.
No, when it comes to computer-generated oceans, Waterworld walked so that Titanic could run.
I mean, you're not wrong to some extent on that. And I will say one thing about Waterworld, like, as much as we like love to talk about how expensive it was, you watch the movie and you can tell that it's expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's not a movie you're like, what do they even spend all that money on?
They spent it on dirt.
They did fill the whole town.
Pretty obvious.
Yeah.
They spent it on dirty extras.
That dirt's not free.
All that dirt costs money.
Yeah.
And plus, when your set gets blown apart in a tropical storm and you got to rebuild it, those costs add up.
Plus, you're filming in the middle of the ocean.
Yep. Shouldn't do that.
You know how hard it is to haul porta potties out to the middle of the ocean? You can't just let people go off the side.
What if you get all the way out there and remember you forgot the orange?
I know.
You got to go back.
The lottery winner's going to be so mad today.
Yeah. Sorry, bud. You got to die of scurvy today.
The grips are already surly people. Imagine that. I got to get on a boat, go out in the middle of the ocean, and light this thing? Ugh. That's not cool.
That's why they shot it all in daytime.
Natural light.
Mm-hmm.
J.J. Abrams way. Yeah.
Movie magic.
Here at the end of the clip, none of these smokers are upset. They are excited. They've been getting hyped up by the Deacon. And here at the end, this is the climax of the speech. And he's showing off, look, there really is a tiny girl with a map on her back, and dry land is not just our destination, it is our destiny, which is such a line.
That is some American colonization bullshit right there.
Which is weird we have that at this point.
Yeah.
Since we're now like in this weird Asian fusion. Obviously, America was a big part of whatever,
What are you talking about?
Everyone speaks English, but they also speak Japanese. Like everybody's kind of like, it's like an in-between. Like whatever this new society is, it's kind of like a Anglo-Asian thing.
Well, that's just another Joss Whedon thing.
It's like East meets West.
You know what? On that note, I think it's a good opportunity for us to wrap this up for this week. Gentlemen, why don't you give out some plugs for our listeners so that they can find more of your stuff on the internet?
Okay, well, you can find George at Elementary My Dears and the Mogwai Minute and his forthcoming podcast, Wait a Dune Minute.
One of these days. You can find Jonathan at Minute Impossible, right?
That's what they say.
Cast and the Furious and some other stuff he might do. I don't know.
If you want to listen to someone who actually does produce and create a podcast, you can go to a free podcast. This will record well after, but if you want to listen to the season, we talk about Waterworld. We have a whole season on When Movies Attack. We talk about The Crow, Roar, Waterworld, The Right Stuff, and The Conqueror, which is a movie where almost half the cast and crew died of cancer because they filmed it next to a where nuclear.
Thanks, Howard Hughes,
Yeah,
for that.
Thanks, bud.
Cool story, bro.
As for us, you can come back next time. Deacon will show his parish the tattoo on Enola's back. The smokers will rush to their stations to get the Deez moving. And Deacon will reveal to his inner circle that he has no idea where they're headed. The Mad Max Minute podcast is a fan project by Rick and Julia Ingham.
Waterworld was written by Peter Rader and David Toohey, directed by Kevin Reynolds, and presented by Universal Pictures.
Mad Max Minute is produced and edited by Rick Ingham. Our opening music is Verdi's Dies Irae by Daniel Batista of danielbatista.com.
Our home on the internet is madmaxminute.com.
You can follow us on Twitter at Mad Max Minute.
And like us on Facebook by searching Mad Max Minute and join our Facebook listener group, Mad Max Minute Beyond Microphone.
If you'd like to support the podcast, visit patreon.com/madmaxmin.
Thank you for joining us for Waterworld episode 72. We'll see you next time.